Hi everybody, PJ here, and today I'm at Clipston, or Clipstone Colliery as it was. Now behind me you can see the headstocks from Clipstone Colliery, and as far as I'm aware, because I don't know of any others in the country, correct me if I'm wrong, apart from the mining museum up near Wakefield, I think this is one of the only headstocks left standing anywhere in the country. I may be wrong. Like I said, please put my teeth in a minute. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not aware of any others anywhere else. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the dread drone around and have a look at this fantastic monument to British history. These headstocks used to be all over the country, all around here. I'm in North Nottinghamshire at the moment. This was a Nottinghamshire mine. And there were hundreds of them spread all over North Nottinghamshire, South Yorkshire, Derbyshire, and then you go up to Scotland and Newcastle, all around that area. Used to be hundreds of mines. South Wales, there were hundreds and hundreds of little collieries all over the place. In a stone's throw from here, I can think of probably half a dozen different coal mines, just within what, a 10-mile radius of where we stood at the moment. So I hope you find this interesting. Like I say, we're going to get the drone up, and while we've got the drone up, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about A, this colliery, and B, how the headstocks and everything behind me worked. So let's crack on and let's enjoy. Before we start this video, I'd just like to remind everybody that in the 81 years that this coal mine was open, 77 people, and that's the best record I have at the moment, lost their lives while working here. And it wasn't just the people that lost their lives, there were countless others that suffered severe injuries, i.e. loss of limb, and all sorts of other injuries. And the disease that most miners suffered from, or a lot of miners suffered from, pneumoconiosis, which was coal dust on the lungs, and just stopped people breathing and killed them eventually. So please try and remember this while you're looking at this video, and try and remember these brave souls that kept the country going through really, really hard times, especially during the war years. Okay, let's carry on with the video. Now you can see that we've got two sets of headstocks here. The closest one is called the downcast shaft, or number 1 shaft, and the far one is the number 2 shaft, the upcast. Now what that means is that on the top of number 2 shaft, you can see it's all closed off and sealed off. There was a massive fan on the roof, and that sucked the air through the coal mine, so it went down the number 1 shaft and it got circulated around the pit using different air doors, and eventually coming back up the number 2 shaft. Now the number 2 shaft generally was used for winding coal up the pit. Now I believe that the shafts here were a fraction over 1,000 yards deep. That's a bloody long way. That's over half a mile down. The men and materials generally went up and down in the number 1 shaft, and I don't know how many decks they had on the cages here, but some of them had double decks and some of them had 3 decks, so there'd be 3 decks of miners, anything up to say 30 people per deck, so they could be winding 60 or 90 men up and down the shaft every time that cage went up and down the shaft, which is a phenomenal amount of people. And the cages used to fly up and down. You wouldn't believe how fast they went. You may get on a lift nowadays and think, blimey, that was quick, but it was absolutely nothing compared to these shafts, or riding the shafts on the man riding cages. The building that you can see in between the two headstocks is what they call the winding house, and that's where the motors were that lifted the cages up and down, up and down the shafts. They would probably, I don't know, have two motors, one for each shaft, and they would also have the facility that if there was a power failure or something like that, that there was another way of operating the cages to get the men out of the pit. So as you can imagine, with the size of the building, they were quite big engines, and they were running constantly, especially in the number two shaft when coal was being produced. They were constantly running all the time. Now, I know at some pits, I don't know about this one, but at some pits they had a big bunker in the pit bottom, so all the coal from the coal face were fed into the bunker. So if they were producing coal quicker than could actually be wound up the pit, then there was somewhere underground to store it, and these bunkers were absolutely massive. And then from there, the coal could be carried on being wound up the shafts in between the shifts. So they used to have a maintenance shift where coal wasn't produced for a certain amount of time, and they could still wind the coal, and they could wind the coal on a weekend as well. So yeah, the the engine houses were constantly running all the time. The headstocks that you can see here are not the original headstocks. These were commissioned in 1953, and the reason they were commissioned was they sank the shafts even lower, so they needed bigger headstocks. When the coal mine was originally opened, it worked in the Barnsley seam, or as it's seam, I'll say it correctly, or as it's commonly known around here, the top hard seam. But as the years went on, they expanded the colliery, and they needed to get down to what they call the low main seam, which was about 800 foot deeper, so they needed new headstocks, and that's why the new headstocks were built. As you can see, the only things that's left from this colliery are the headstocks and the winding house and one or two smaller buildings around the outside. There would normally be quite a few other buildings around. There would be stores, there'd be the bathhouse, there'd be the lamp room where people pick the lamps up, there would be the offices, you know, for the wages and all that kind of thing. So it would have been quite a large site. There would also have been what they call a coal preparation plant, where the coal came up the mine and went into a preparation plant, and it was cleaned and segregated from, so the coal was segregated from all the shale and the rubbish that came up the mine with it. And as you can see, the mine, or the headstocks, are surrounded by quite a large piece of land, and the majority of this land would have been taken up by the other buildings that were needed to operate this coal mine. The baths was generally a largest area. It used to have two sides. It used to have what they call a clean side and a dirty side. So you would go into the baths on the clean side, you'd get undressed and put your clean clothes in a locker. You'd walk through the shower area onto the dirty side, and then you would put your clothes on that you were going down the coal mine. And then once you'd done that, you'd go down the pit, you'd do your shift, and when you came up, it was the reverse. You would go straight to the dirty side, you would get undressed, go and have a shower, and then walk through to the clean side. And woe betide anyone that went on the clean side in the muck from down the pit. There would be serious repercussions from the lads. But that's basically how the baths worked. Thankfully, in April of 2000, the headstocks became listed. a listed structure or building, whatever you want to call it. So they're there and they're going to be preserved for everyone to see our heritage. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish yakking away now and just let you watch the rest of the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, everybody. So there you go, everybody. That's Clipstone Colliery. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you found the information interesting. I know a lot of old miners will probably have comments to make, but that's miners for you. That's coal mining everywhere in the country. That's what miners are like. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. And if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.